Ready to go. Looks good. Taylor, will you just confirm that it's working, audio is working on Facebook? Hey, Teresa. Hey, Chris Mack. All right, it's 9, Nick. You wanna go ahead and kick it off? Introduce yourself. I'll introduce myself. Reed, you can introduce yourself, and then we can get into the topics du jour, as it were.
Yep, let's do it. All right, I'm Nick Friend. I'm the CEO and owner of Art Storefronts.
Yeah, my name is Patrick Shanahan. I'm the CMO, run the marketing department here.
Hey guys, my name is Reed. I'm on the sales team over here. When you guys request demos, you talk to me.
Yeah, and Reed's been at the company for 5 years, or actually greater than 5 years. So he has brought on a lot of artists and photographers. I mean, I wonder what the number is, Reed. Like truly, right? It might be like 1,000.
I would guess it's 1,000 plus because I have the claim of bringing on the first artist at Art Storefronts, and that was thousands of artists ago. So
that's pretty cool. So then that had to be a little longer than that. Then that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So the agenda today, guys. What we're going to do is we wanted to get Reed on here so that he could show a very brief demo. Like he's not going to go into all the full detail because this is an all-in-one solution for artists and photographers. It includes a lot, and but he'll give a very, very brief demo to at least show people some detail in what we do. So I thought that would be good to kick off right at the beginning. And then right after that, we're going to start taking your questions on anything, right? To provide you guys with value. And so what you should do is if you click on the, it's the chat button. Oh, actually, it looks like it's in the, in the chat. Our team has put some links in there showing you how to raise your hand. Just scroll to the very top and there's a raise hand button here in Zoom, and that's how you get in line. And then we will unmute you, and you can ask your question, and we'll go ahead and talk to you and answer it. So that's how it works. Pat, did you have anything else to add at the beginning? Otherwise, I'll give a little quick intro, and then we'll let Reed get right into it.
Yeah, I would just say this is just the second one of these that we've done. You know, everybody's moving towards more and more applications of video as a result of this crisis, and so we're still figuring things out. But feel free to come with any question that you have, business related, art and photography, marketing related, what we do, how we provide value for our customers. Everything's on the table, so feel free to ask whatever. And then I would say, go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't completely familiar with what Art Storefronts does, we basically have two parts of our product. Number one is the proper art gallery website with all the features that you need to provide an incredible art buying experience to your customers. So that literally you have just a state-of-the-art, experience for them, and they have everything they need. So the sale is as frictionless as possible. As many of you may not know or may already know, art is a high friction buying product. It's not like just buying like an impulse item. There's a lot of questions that come in people's minds and things that they have to figure out to get them across the finish line. And so the goal is to have an art gallery website that covers all of those things, right? And so that's one part of our product that we do really well. And we also have all sorts of back-end features and stuff like that Reed can, kind of go over a little bit more. But the second part of our product, and arguably the biggest part of our product, is the marketing and business consulting, okay? We give you a 365-day marketing plan. It's constantly being updated, and we're doing workshops multiple days a week, just like this, but with our Art Storefronts members. They're private, and we're going over all of the marketing tactical. We're doing deep dives. We're doing Q&A, strategic Q&A. Businesses, we have people who have traditionally sold well offline, but just not online yet. And then we have people who sell hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from their website of their art. And so what I'll just say, like high level, as somebody I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. I've been in the art industry for 20 years as well. I started a company called Breathing Color. Some of you may have heard of it. 17 years ago, it's a manufacturer of fine art canvas, photography papers, fine art papers. all for the highest quality art reproduction and photography reproduction. And so I've seen a lot over all of these years, and that's part of the main reason why we started Art Storefronts, was to solve a big problem. And the two products that we have are designed to solve the two problems. So whenever I talk to an artist or photographer, when people from our team do, or you guys can ask yourselves this question, what I usually find is the two main problems are, you either don't have a proper art gallery website that's equipped, to provide the best experience for selling art. And so if you're driving traffic to that site, you're not getting as high of a conversion rate, and you're leaving money on the table. And you're also leaving an art buyer, a customer, with just kind of a below than ideal experience. And we live in the age of customer experience. So if you're an artist or a photographer and you're going to be doing this for a while, it makes sense to just properly equip yourself right from the start, right? The second problem is the marketing problem. This is a problem that it's widespread, it's rampant. We know that 99.9999999% of the photographers and artists out there have a marketing problem. Call it traffic, eyeballs on your art, exposure, whatever it is. This is the real way that you grow a business. It's not through a website. So you need to have both of these things. And what we find is that most photographers and artists either are missing one or they're actually missing both. Okay. And so, so we designed our solution to provide those things at a high level. Now, there's a lot of detail underneath those, but at a very high level, if you don't have those two things, you're already in trouble right from the start. Or it's like you're set out to run a marathon, but you've got, a 40-pound backpack on your back and weights on your ankles. You're just, what you got to do. You're trying to grow this business, but you're making it that much harder on yourself. So you got to solve those two problems, regardless of whether you work with us or you don't. So at that point, Pat, unless you have anything, we can kick it right over to Reed and have him just show a quick demo.
Yeah, I would just say as a final, Nick said it, we've talked to thousands of artists and photographers over the last couple of years, call it 4 or 5 years, and you do that enough, and there's some pretty easy pattern recognition that emerges, right? Chief among them is 99 out of 100 photographers, it's 0.9999. You're solopreneurs. You don't have some giant marketing team. You're not some giant company with 15 different employees that can help you out with things. You all have marketing problems. You need more attention, more eyeballs on your art. Prior to this COVID dumpster fire of a situation, things were a little bit easier because you could rely on the offline channels. Those channels are now dried up. The online channels are the primary ones that are available, and it looks to us, by all measures, the next 12 to 24 months, that is going to be the case. As the offline channels slowly start opening back up, they are not going to come back at 100%, whether it's social distancing or just people being gun shy and wanting to avoid big crowds. We're really bummed about that because it's one of the strongest things that we advocated. We have a number of playbooks on how to run shows offline, how to sell your work offline. It's a fantastic way to build a business, but that's out for the next 12 to 24. And as it comes back, it's not coming back as strong. So we believe right now the online experience is so critical, and all of you guys have marketing problems. All you need is more eyeballs, more attention to your art. If you have a website set up and equipped to sell it, you'll do great. If you don't, you add friction to the process, and it makes it harder and harder and harder. That's what I would say.
All right, Reed, why don't you go ahead and fire up that screen share, and let's go through this.
All right. Yeah, great, guys. So excited to walk you through this. Nick, Pat, can you confirm you're seeing everything well on my end?
We got it.
Okay, awesome. So for anyone coming in late, I am part of the sales team. So you guys are to talk to us. You're going to hop on with me or a few other guys to get introduced. And eventually, if it's a fit, I would walk you through this screen share or a longer version of this screen share. So what I'm going to do here is basically cover the two parts that Nick talked about. I'm going to start on this site, this Fortune site. This is a little demo site we built out just to play customer with you. And then part two will go more behind the curtain, poke around the back-end dashboard, show you the back-end marketing dashboard, and yeah, just give you a really nice 10,000-foot view here. So on my screen, this site's very straightforward, the one we put together here. As with all of our sites, the site that you'd have with us would be completely customizable. We do most of the heavy lifting there, so the framework's built out, and then you're just using your dashboard to set up and personalize and customize the site. And we have a great onboarding process too. So plenty of help support, onboarding calls, setup guides, super straightforward. Usually takes about a week or two to get launched. So on this site, I kept everything really simple. All I'm really wanting to do today for our purposes is walk through the store. So I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to click into bestsellers. And I'll click in my first red swirl piece here. And this will pop us into the store to actually view and purchase. Right away, let me just really quickly get image security out of the way. So as I pull my image up, you can see we have automatic watermarking, optional, but there for whoever needs it. We've disabled right-clicking, dragging and dropping. We compress every image, so there's no full res display. So the work's protected. Once the work's on your site, it stays on your site. Now, in my store, the first thing I'm going to point out in here are these 4 tabs running at the top. So this is something we call side-by-side products. And what that does is it allows the artist to offer any or all of those 4 product types side by side on one page. So in this example, we have our open edition print. This would be a fully customizable print with media type previews, sizing, framing, finishing options. I'd say 19 times out of 20, those go through our print on demand service, which I'll touch on here in a second. Next to that, you'll see a limited edition. So you have that ability with any site, if you're using print on demand, to also sell your own limited edition. So if you want to sign a number or hand embellish or custom frame, you can do that. And these orders go to you and you can handle those manually, basically self-fulfill and put your hands on that print before it goes to the customer. And then of course, the original painting for our painters. And then this multi-panel allows you to take any single print you have and break it up into a multi-panel, like a diptych or triptych. The intention there is an upsell. This is a big upsell opportunity for anyone selling online. In this example, we started with that single open edition print, and with that multi-panel tab, we can now go purchase that same print as a much larger triptych. But the point to make with side-by-side products, those 4 tabs, is that you don't have to offer any of those, right? If you're a photographer with just one image, or if you're a painter with just one painting, or maybe an original and a print, you can offer any or all of those depending on how you see fit. But point being, if you are going to be offering 2 or more for the same image, you want them side by side, so it's completely frictionless. You're not sending people to other sections of the site to find what they need, or they may not even know they wanted one of these options till they saw it here. Okay, so circling back to our open edition prints here, a lot of people, when I talk to them, one of the first questions for me is, or their main interest for me is the print on demand service. So with that option, again, it's optional. Nobody has to use our print on demand. You can do all of your own printing, but most people want that. They want that automation so they can spend their time elsewhere. So in that case, we connect you to the lab. Once we do that, all of their media types automatically get added to your dashboard on the back end. You would handpick which media types you want to offer in your store, set your own markup on top of the production costs from the lab, and that's it. Once you've done that, you're good to go. Everything's set up and running on your site with all of your prices, and when someone orders the print, it goes straight to the lab, straight to your customer, and your money automatically gets deposited into your account. From there, as a customer, we have all the media types running down here. So as simple as it gets. In this case, I'm starting with that paper. So it's showing me a paper view on the image. If I go to this tooltip, I get a nice little image of that paper to learn about that media type. If I click into canvas, it's going to show me a little gallery wrap view on the image. Likewise, if I click into metal, it shows me metal, acrylic, and tooltips on all of these. So the point here is we're taking all the thinking out for your customer. We never want to assume your customers know what any of this is. So we provide them with these mock-ups and tooltips and visuals so they can make their choice and move on. From here, once we've decided on the media type, we'll choose our size, as simple as it gets. Click a size to get a price until we find what fits. From here, we have, if I can hold still, we have our finishing options. In this example, I selected the canvas, so it's presenting me with different canvas options on the print. You'll notice that framing option too. So framing is a big benefit of print on demand. Just like the lab's media types, the lab's frames get added to your dashboard on the back end. You can then hand pick which specific frames you'd like to offer, apply your own markup on top of the frame as well. And then once you've done that, we can preview and purchase frames here with the same mockups and tooltips. Yeah, framing is a great feature. This is just a standard feature we have. Doesn't get a whole lot of attention, but letting someone see that finished frame print while they're shopping goes a long way. Really important just for decision making while they're shopping. Okay, and now coming down here towards the bottom, we get into the visualization features. So wall preview is the room simulator. We can take our print or painting and project it into our 9 preset rooms here, from residential to commercial. We can change our size to get scale, change our wall colors here. These are actually the best-selling colors from Sherwin-Williams. So just a great feature. People have a pretty terrible imagination when it comes to visualizing art to scale in a room. So we're just doing it for them. And then the other visualization feature is live preview. So this brings augmented reality into play. Instead of fumbling through my den here with the camera on my laptop, I have a little mock-up here that Patrick put together. So if you can see this smartphone, this is what that customer would see if they clicked into that live preview tab. So it's tapping into the camera on their device, and then they can simply stand in front of their own wall, point that device at their wall, and augment your prints and paintings onto their wall. So with augmented reality, this becomes emotional when someone's using this feature. Same concepts as wall preview, but once it's on their wall, it's comparable to test driving a car or walking through an open house. It's in their own space. So the more people you get putting your art on their walls, the better your sales are. It just comes down to that. And one other note on this feature, what I really like about this with our artists is it's there on their site for anyone to use whenever they want, but it's also a tool they have in their own pocket, right? So if they're working with interior designers, or when everybody comes out of their houses, whenever that's going to be, and you're doing shows, events, any face-to-face stuff, you can send people home with links to paintings and prints that they're interested in to put on their own wall. So it just really keeps engagement going long term. Anyway, that's a live preview. A couple more front end features here. With email a friend, we can share a link with somebody else. So if I want to run this by my wife or my boss or whoever it might be, I'll use email a friend to share the link. Save to favorites to create my own personal favorites list that I can come back to and revisit later. One other thing I want to make sure I touch on here, because I'd be remiss not to talk about the email capture tool. So I'm going to pop into Meg's site, a live site here real quick. So coming onto Meg's site, after about 2 seconds, we get her email capture, this pop-up. So a pretty straightforward feature, but the logic here, if somebody lands on your site, especially for the very first time, meaning they're not necessarily going to know who you are, you can't be sure they're actually ready to pull their wallet out on that site visit. A lot of times they're not going to be. So next best thing is to incentivize for the email. And then this ties in perfectly with the marketing we talk about. Like when I talk to people on the phone, a lot of times they're asking about how they build an email list. And this is square one, running this feature on the site, because it's just collecting warm contacts for you. And then once you have that email address, we show you what to do with that. I'm going to go into the marketing dashboard here in a second, but from there, as you say, Pat, you want to carpet bomb with, build some trust, build some value, so that when that wall space opens up, or they talk to their spouse, or they're buying a gift, once the stars have aligned, you're someone they know and like and trust, and they're coming back. Or if they're emotionally connected to the artwork, you can bet they're going to know other people who have those same interests. So there's word of mouth and sharing. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but the point here with this feature is it's such a great place to start with all of that, because it's just running all the time, collecting those warm contacts for you. Okay, so yeah, wanted to make sure I touched on that. Back on our demo site, from here, let's just walk through our checkout just to cover that. So I'm gonna add to cart. And once I'm ready to actually check out, let me drag that down. All right, so I'll check out top right here. Now I'm confirming my order. This looks great, so I'll continue. And now I'll sign in, create an account, or do a fast checkout, which is what most people do. That's what I'll do. And then we have our order screen. And that's really it, guys. We use the single screen checkout. So they enter everything right here, place the order, you get an email letting you know you have an order, customer gets an email with their order details, and that's it. So that's front end. From here, let's go to the back end. So this is the back end dashboard. Give this a second to catch up. All right, so this is what you would be using to set up and customize your site with us. Like I mentioned, when you log into the dashboard for the first time, the framework of your site's already built. Like everything's ready to go, but it's blank. So you're uploading images and adding text and choosing a theme to decide the look and feel and filling in the blanks, personalizing, customizing the site. In the interest of time here, I'm not going to go through all that. If we did the full demo, I would dive a little deeper, but what I will do in lieu of that is go through this little timeline. So I thought this would be helpful just to kind of show people what actually happens after you sign up with Art Storefronts. So right out of the gate, we'll schedule a check-in call. So we want to have the artists hop on the phone with someone from the success team basically right away or shortly after sign up to check in, make sure things are going smoothly, hop on a screen share, get questions answered, just make sure everybody's getting off on the right foot now that they're with us. And then from there, to set up your site, we have our quick launch guide. So this is a step-by-step guide that walks you through your setup, step-by-step in order. So very simple. I believe there's 20 something steps to that guide, 23 maybe. So yeah, you just go through that day by day. You can see we ballpark about 2 weeks for the launch. I think that's more than realistic. I'd say if you're doing an hour to a day, you could probably even shorten that, but 2 weeks is about average for someone taking their time with setup. And then from there, it's into the marketing. You can see here, the very first thing they recommend is the new website giveaway contest. So this is actually a really fun celebratory contest that we walk you through to announce the launch of your site. And we've seen great results from that. It essentially just brings a burst of traffic to the site, gets people sharing your work, creating some buzz around the initial launch. And then from there, it's the ongoing marketing, which is ongoing. That's moving at your own pace with the calendar, the playbooks, the workshops, the small wins group. I actually want to go into that now. This was just to kind of give people a sense of what to expect once they come on board. So back in the dashboard, I'm going to, from here, jump into the marketing dashboard. I think this is probably what most people want to see. So this is where we bundled the marketing roadmap. Very organized, everything's packaged together into just a very turnkey, elegant roadmap for the artist. So Nick mentioned the art marketing calendar. Let's dive into that first. So each month, the marketing team is putting together this step-by-step or day-by-day, rather, schedule for the artist to follow. based off of their recommendations for that specific month. So as I come through here, you can see they have social media scheduled out day by day throughout the week, suggesting what and when to be posting, hashtags to be using. We're doing our live marketing workshops twice a week. So similar to what we're all doing right now, but these workshops are for the members. So they're going to be a lot more hands-on, a lot more specific to like the general marketing topics that Nick and Patrick are covering. Completely included at all membership levels. Like this is one of the biggest value adds we have. Basically, for people signing on board for your membership, you have lifetime expert marketing consulting for as long as you're with us. In here as well, you can see everything in red is going to be geared towards more campaigns, like actually bringing people to the site to purchase. These go on every month. Right now, people are ramping up for Mother's Day, like down to the wire now for the Mother's Day promotion. And if I click into, let's see, what day is it? The 6th. So we have a workshop coming up this afternoon with Nick and Pat. And then here we're walking them through a little flash sale for Nurses Day. I mean, who knew? But that's a time when people might buy prints for their nurse friends or family members. So anytime there's a peak art selling season, whether it's Nurse Day randomly throughout the year or Christmas, which is the biggest art selling of the year by far, we're going to be gearing up for that, making sure the artists are capturing the opportunity there with the spike in art sales. Anyway, I don't want to go through the whole calendar here because I'll be here for the next hour and a half, but I think broader point to make here is everything's organized, put together day by day for the artists. So they have that consistency. They can come in here, they can see what day it is, knock out whatever we're suggesting, and get back to whatever they'd rather be doing. So that's the calendar. Back in the dashboard, you'll see the pandemic response kit. Pretty self-explanatory, but this is a kit the company put together to our pivot this lockdown. Basically, with everything that's going on, there's 100% of the art market's online. So there is a little opportunity with that. So this is put together to help the artists navigate through that for however long we'll be indoors here. And a kind of a point to make with that as well, not necessarily on the kit itself, but just the fact that I've been here a long time, and this this dashboard is always being updated and changed. Always. Like when I was sent home from the office, like everybody else was 2 months ago, a week later, the pandemic response kit was launched. So very quick. That's one thing I've come to learn about the leadership here is they make really quick moves. If there's a change in the way art's sold, we're going to be on top of that, updating the dashboard, adding it to the calendar, so the artists don't have to. That's kind of the point. Like that's our commitment, is to do all that heavy lifting so they can just follow instructions and fill in the blanks, more or less. I do want to go into the workshops because I mentioned those in the calendar. Nick was talking about these. So you would come in here and register to know when the workshops are coming up. So you'd hop into Zoom like we are to get actual FaceTime one-on-one time with our marketing team. And then of course, if you miss one or want to binge watch the old stuff, the replays are over here. So you can move through these at your own pace. Let's see here. I don't want to go through this entire thing, but we have our social media playbooks built out. So navigating through Instagram marketing, Facebook, mini chat for setting up live chat on the site. You can actually have live chat conversations with your site visitors to create engagement. And then of course, when people are ready, probably not in the beginning, but when they're ready, running ads on Facebook and Instagram.
So Reed, I see we have some questions or somebody raised their hand, but let me ask this because I think, first of all, thank you. I think you've covered the bulk of that stuff for a quick demo, right? What is what is the general pricing? So without going into all of the rest of the details on a demo, what is the general pricing range that you can tell everybody?
Yeah, of course. So we're going to have activations and monthlies. The activations range from 1,000 to 2,800. That's a one-time payment. From there, the monthlies range from $44 to $59 per month. And then there'd be also a 7% transaction fee on originals and a 12% transaction fee on prints. So there's three parts: the one-time activation, the ongoing monthly, and the transaction fee on the sales. And then the difference will just be the features. So a lot of the features are on the top plans, and the entry plan, that $1,000 plan, has all the essentials, right? So the website, e-commerce, print on demand, and 100% of the marketing support.
Okay, great. So I see some questions are starting to come in the chat window before we get people fully raising their hands and going through that. We could rifle through these really quick while we've got you.
Yeah.
How many pieces of art do you recommend launching with? I want to hear your answer, Reed. I want to see.
I would say one. That's obviously extreme, but I think the point of launching with one piece is when I talk to artists, all too often they're sitting around waiting till they have the perfect amount, the perfect portfolio to launch a store with. And a lot of times that's just never going to happen. Like, it's never going to be perfect. So launch with what you have, right?
Yes.
Obviously one is extreme, but if you have just a handful of pieces that you're proud of and you feel like those are marketable, launch a store. Because if you sit around waiting until you have a dozen, 2 dozen, 50, who knows how long that'll be, and that's lost time on marketing. So as soon as you can get something up and running, that's all you need.
Yeah, you got to get going quick. What most people don't realize is that every image you release is a new announcement. It's a marketing moment. It's a way to collect more leads and get more sales. You need every one of them. So one of the worst things you could do is go take 100 images or go paint 100 pictures and be like, I'm ready to launch, because you now have no story to tell. You know, and like, so most people don't know that, and that's why the point we make is just, if you've got one, you're ready to go, right?
Yeah.
So of course, most people don't launch with one; they launch with a few at least, but one is enough. Okay, so Jenny Designs asked, is Art Storefronts a substitute for my GoDaddy site, or is this in addition to?
It depends. We can definitely be a substitute. Anything you're doing on GoDaddy, you can do with us and then some. For a lot of artists, they have an existing site that might be serving another function, maybe something client-based or something that we don't necessarily focus on. So for those guys, we can build just the store and then essentially bolt that store onto your GoDaddy site. So if you want to add all of our fine art e-commerce features, you don't necessarily have to do it all over again with us, but for most purposes, it's not going to make sense to have two websites. But it's up to you. Like, if you feel like that site's doing something that you don't necessarily want to jump ship on, then you can keep that and we'll add the store. But something we want to have a longer conversation before we made that call.
Shirley Stevens asked, can you repeat the prices? Shirley and anyone else, you will be able to go back on this video when it's done and rewind it back and reread it. So we won't just repeat it just to save time. Reed, so can you explain, for everybody who didn't know, we've been running this, in April, we were running this huge sale. You know, it's kind of like our pandemic response sale, just basically to try to help people out as much as possible, give the best deal we can. And it turned out, you know, Reed was affected by this. You could talk about the overload that happened, but we just got bombarded with demo requests and people looking to join. Obviously, because, you know, everybody right now is like, I can't sell at shows. I really need to take my online strategy seriously. And that is the right thing to do. You need to do that. And so we got overloaded. We couldn't get back to a lot of people. We couldn't run all the demos. And so we decided to extend it for May. So Reed, can you talk about what that is?
Yeah, sure. So with that promotion, like I put it on pricing, we have the activation and the monthly. And those monthlies are month to month. Yeah, no commitments, no contracts, just pay as you go. What the company is doing for that special is anyone that wants to bill annually, so if you want to pay the year upfront, just take care of your billing in advance, you'll get a discount by paying it in a lump sum for the year instead of monthly. And then the company is giving you 6 months free. So that payment of that annual payment would cover the artist for an entire year and a half instead of just a year. And then they're also taking $300 off the top plan. So yeah, it helps. Like for a lot of guys coming on board, like they're coming on board long term. So being able to spread that out over 18 months instead of a year and getting the discount on top of that, it's hundreds of dollars in savings. So that's why I was drinking from a fire hose the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and something else I think. Can you talk about like off the top of your head some of the other member benefits? These are things that, because we do so much, people just don't have a clue that these things even happen, right? Like if you're using our automated fulfillment, right? We have pre-negotiated pricing with a couple of the best printing companies in the industry, right? This is my background. I know all these people, right? And you get better pricing. You get exclusive discounts all year long, especially during the times when we're suggesting people run discounts. And let me just say up front, if you don't want a discount, don't discount. We don't care whether you discount or not. People always think like when we say discount, like, oh, you're forcing me to discount. It's like, no. You're running your own business. We're helping you run your own business. So don't worry about that. But when we are telling people, hey, you might want to consider discounting, then we have this philosophy: when we ask you to discount, we discount too. So we have the print exclusive print discounts at that time are discounted. So that way, when you're offering a discount maybe on your prints, that part or a very little amount of it is coming out of your pocket and you're able to pay it forward, which is just awesome. It's a great sort of partnership thing. But Reed, what other things do you have on the top of your head that don't often come up that are other member benefits?
Yeah, for sure. So along those same lines, on the print side, with that print on demand service, like you were saying, we've just negotiated killer rates with these labs. So a lot of people just simply by coming on board using print on demand, their margins get better because they're saving on print production costs. But a big benefit of that I actually don't talk about that much because no one really asks about it is self-made orders. So that's a feature or function on the back end that allows our artists to order any print for themselves at direct wholesale costs from the lab with no transaction fees. So it's great for them. Like if they're doing a giveaway or when they start doing shows again, whenever that is, they can have their entire inventory shipped straight to them through the print on demand service. And the other big benefit of that, a lot of people don't anticipate at the end of the year, when you're selling online, running an online business, there's numbers, right? Like there's sales and all the people you're working with and all your inventory, and the Art Storefronts members have just a really clean dashboard number in their back end to look at everything they've ordered for themselves, their customers. So anyway, from an admin standpoint, it just makes life a lot easier for them. And then I think the other kind of bigger benefit that I also don't talk about that much, and I feel like is kind of undersold when people come on board, is just the community component. Because so many artists, and basically all the artists I've talked to, they're alone, right? More or less. Like they're trying to figure things out as they go, trying to navigate through Facebook and email marketing, Instagram, just trying to build an audience. And of course, when they come on board, they now have access to us, which is really what they're paying for, like the marketing coaching from us and the calendars and playbooks. But they're joining a community of thousands of other artists right there on the front lines with them. So like we have what's called our small wins group. It's the private Facebook group. And I'm in there quite a bit, mostly just kind of lurking, like reading what people are posting. But these guys are together. Like if they have a roadblock and going in this small wins group, have some artists come in, get them past that, where on their own, like if they were doing this in isolation, which a lot of them have been, if they hit that same roadblock or a bump or a wall, who knows how long that can set them back. Like it could be weeks, if not months, until they figure that out. Whereas over here, in that same situation arises, they can bring that to the group and get it dealt with, get back on pace, like hopefully as soon as possible. So I think that's like the community component here is just priceless. A lot of people don't, that's not like the sizzle when they're looking into us. They're asking about like augmented reality and the marketing calendars, but just having access to the other artists, I think is just as valuable a lot of the time.
Okay, so I think, Reed, I know you've got to go because you got to get back to running demos. So if anyone is listening to this and they want to, take the next step, and the next step is a discovery call. It's not a commitment, right? So what do they do?
Yeah, request a demo. I think the demo request link will be in the show notes. Actually see a couple of familiar names and faces in here. So if you guys have if you dealt with me, you can just email me or call me. But yeah, just reach out, request the demo. We'll see it. We'll hop on the phone. We are extremely laid back. That call is just to chat, learn what you're doing, mostly just talk about you and then explain what we do and see if there's a fit. So
yeah, I'll back you up on that. I'm the owner of the company, and I'll let you guys hear it all from me. If we need to talk to people because we're going to be talking to you. This is a consulting relationship. So we need to know who we're dealing with. We need to know what your goals are and what you're trying to do and whether we believe we can make you successful or not, right? But if you don't want to talk to us ever again, we will never call you again. Trust me. Okay. We have way too many phone calls to make and people to talk to. We are not interested in that at all. We don't want to bother anybody. So don't worry about it. You can call, you'll find out if it's a good fit for you. We'll tell you if it is or it's not. We can tell you that today as well. And there's either a path forward or there's not. So like Reed said, we're totally laid back. Don't worry about it. Okay, cool. Reed, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Pat, let me get you back in here.
Yep. Thanks, Reed. You got to stop your screen share, Reed. You got to let it go.
You got it.
There we go. Good.
There we go. Okay. So a couple other questions that I saw in the chat that I'll just rattle through so everybody knows. We work with pretty much the exact same amount of painters as we do photographers. It's pretty much 50-50. People ask us all the time, like, hey, you always say photographers and artists in your marketing and in your ad. We know photographers are artists, okay? We totally believe that. The only reason we do that is because whenever we just say artists, photographers say, you look like you don't work with photographers. And whenever we just say, photographers, artists say you only look with, you look like you only work with photographers. You guys get what I'm saying. So that's why we say that. People are selling originals, they're selling limited editions, they're selling open editions. There is no difference. It just matters what your business is. We have plenty of painters who sell originals only. They sell them all the time. They're selling literally all the time online. And we have people who sell only limited editions. We have other people, like one of our painters was actually on one of the private member workshops. She was doing a mentorship session and she sold like 2 weeks ago, running some of our playbooks for the pandemic. She sold over $10,000 in like 4 days. And it was 2 originals. It was like 5 limited editions that were around $1,500 a piece. And then a handful of open editions, all in like a 4-day period. So a lot of people generalize on the online market and they're like, do originals sell online? Or what is the average price of the Art Storefronts customer? And you guys, it's important to understand what we do. We are helping you build your own long-term valuable art business based on your work and your clientele, not anyone else's, yours, your niche, your subject matter, your clientele, figuring out where the traction is, pouring gasoline on that and helping you get more traction and more eyeballs to really build your business and have you at the end of the day, own your own customer list, and make the most money from your work and have something that, provides you with cash flow long-term that you can retire on, whatever your goals are. And what I'm talking about right there is that's not like some magic science. It's literally just the recipe of building a business in any industry, right? Any industry, any entrepreneur that's trying to build a business, you've got to have your own customer list. You can't rely on galleries, online galleries or offline galleries where all you're getting is a 1099 check. That's why artists over the last however hundreds or thousands of years, are starving or never have consistent sales, because you just need to operate it like a regular business. So we're helping people. We're trying to attract the people who want to do that, who understand that and want to do that. And if that is you, then you are ready to work with us. Like that, you're a great fit for us. If you're not at that stage yet, and you're just like dabbling with online galleries and just want to throw your art on these different, things and stuff like that, then you're probably not ready for. That's a whole different business model. We are not doing that. We are not supporters of that. We're not completely against it. It's just one little spoke potentially in your marketing wheel. But one of the things that I always say, and you'll hear me say it a lot, is that whatever everyone is doing by definition doesn't work. Okay. Every single person and their brother is uploading every single day all over the world to these online gallery sites. And so if you wonder, like, we talk to thousands of artists, in a given month, and have been doing this for years and years and years. Nobody is making real money on any of those sites. And even in the people that are making a few sales a year, they don't get the customer information. So, it's the gallery that's building a valuable business because they're acquiring the customer, right? You hear on like shows like Shark Tank, people are always talking about customer acquisition costs. What's your customer acquisition cost? It's because acquiring a customer is the most important thing that you have. It's the most valuable aspect of the business. There's an artist, Wyland. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he's probably one of the most successful out there. He's an oceanography artist. His name is spelled W-Y-L-A-N-D. I would look him up. He wrote a book called Don't Be a Starving Artist too, which I recommend. He talks about how, his average collector buys, there it is. Patrick's got the book right there.
Great.
So,
great read, this one.
Average collector buys 8 pieces, right? So some people buy 15, some people buy 1, right? So you can imagine if you don't have the information of that person, you're never gonna do that, and you're not gonna have that annuity coming in over time when you're generating leads and customers, and you have the compounding of people in year 2, year 3 buying multiple pieces. Anyways, I'm going into a lot of detail there, but it kind of gets you into the mindset of what we're doing and why people are working with us. So so you guys could start raising your hands and we'll go into questions. I know we've got a lot of questions in the chat. I could just rattle through those real quick, Pat. You think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I would say big picture. I think, a couple of things, and maybe you guys have been watching some of our stuff and seen us do some of the lives or some of our talks or, some of our Nick and our lives. Big picture, we're in a terrible situation with this COVID thing, obviously shelter in place and everything else. The massive surprise in all of it is there's winners and losers, right? Like, I spent the entire morning reading the news talking about how Airbnb is laying off 25% of their workforce and Uber is laying off 13% of their workforce. And then on the other side, you've got Disney Plus, whose streaming business has gone from like 35 million to 55 million subscribers in 1 week. And I can't remember what the other one that I cited. Shopify's growth through the roof. So there's winners and losers in this thing. And we've seen one of the winners is actually the online sales of art and photography. And why? It turns out a whole lot of people are spending a whole lot more time in their house, and a whole lot of people's office just moved from an offline office to their house. And so we think that there's this initial huge bump in art sales going on as a result of people being tired and sick and tired of looking at their blank and empty walls, of wanting to have an office that's beautiful, of being on a ton of video calls and having it in the back. And there's a ton of data aside from ours that supports this, whether it's home decor sales or whether it's stuff that Sotheby's published, like art sales. Believe it or not, art and photography sales has emerged as one of the winners, which is incredible, which is extraordinary. So I think that's a very blessed state to be in. I think the second part of that, though, is no matter what, the offline is not going to come back as strong as most people think it is. And I'm an optimist. I think we're going to get through this thing quickly, but I think people are going to be gun shy for a while. So, if you're an artist, you're a photographer, and you got stuck in the situation where your pants were down, right? You had a pretty portfolio site. You didn't have a site set up to actually sell online, and you weren't actively working on your marketing. You were in a really, really tight spot. And so I think the next 12 to 24, the artist, the photographer that starts taking their digital marketing seriously, starts building an email list, starts emailing it regularly, has a website that's set up to sell art online, will prosper at the expense of those that don't. And John McMullen says, have sales increased since the pandemic? We can go into our individual specific data, and Nick's got a really good beat on that. And why don't you do that in just a second? So we'll answer that. And Joan Cox, where's the art in my office? I've got a family heirloom right there, which are 2 Hawaiian feather leis. But that's what I've got in mind. But Nick, why don't you go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, so in March of 2020, our artist sales from our member websites were up 48% year over year. Okay, and then in April they were up over 200%. So April 2020 sales from our member websites, their own websites, compared to April, the same period in 2019, was up 200%. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so like Pat said, we've been publishing this data week by week, and as well as like other industry data on our blog, because it's just kind of blown our mind. And what I'll tell you guys is, your natural reaction is like to this or to any recession is, oh, art's not going to sell, because a recession is here or it's coming or whatever it is. Like, you can think back to 2008 or whatever you want to do. And what is so profound about this situation and the way that we've been talking about it, if you've been following us, is there was America 1.0 and now we're in America 2.0. And mentally, you have to move into America 2.0. And I'm telling you guys this as a 20-year entrepreneur. I've started 6 companies. I'm not trying to like get into my bio here, but I speak about this like very passionately because I've gone through 3 recessions now, right? Like, or 3 very serious situations. There was the 9/11, and then there was the financial crisis, and now it's what we're going through. And the bottom line is that you just have to be on offense at all times. You cannot mope about it. You got to look at the reality of the situation. And as an entrepreneur, you have to move forward, and you have to look at what is going on right now. Where is the market going to be? What's happening, and how can I best position my business to take advantage of it and to succeed over the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years, right? Like, you got to look at that. And then you come back to right now and go, what decisions do I need to make right now to put myself in that position? And so, like Patrick said, we want the offline to come back, right? Like, galleries were already on death's doorstep. We all know that. I mean, like, if you Google anything about art galleries, you will see that they've been shutting down like crazy over the last like 5 to 7 years. So this is not going to help. But art shows and all that stuff, like, we want all that stuff to come back. Like, it's a great part of the art market. But the way that I look at it when you're in these times, and I want you guys to look at it, this is what I'm telling all of our members, is you got to move on mentally and go, you know what, when those come back, that's going to be the gravy. They may not come back, or people may go to them and the attendance is going to be down, or they're going to be afraid to touch the art and take it with them and carry it with them back to their car. There's going to be all sorts of weird friction that's going on at these shows in the future. And I don't like it, but treat it as gravy mentally, and, and then do the only things that you can do right now, which is focus on really building your online strategy and getting really good at your online marketing and taking advantage of where the market is, right? Because when that comes back, you're going to be in a phenomenal position. But if it doesn't, you're still going to be in a good position, right? So that's the best way as an entrepreneur. It's like almost the only strategy that makes sense right now. So in other words, to sum that up, it's build your business and think about your future in America 2.0. And if you do that, you're probably going to be in a good spot.
Yeah. But it's also encouraging. It's really like, and I think we were blown away by it, but the art sales have just continued to improve. I mean, week in, week out, we are seeing a ton of art and photography move, and you wouldn't have thought that was the case beforehand. And we see a lot of people that are rightfully so, likely so, scared, terrified, throwing their hands up. Art doesn't sell right now, and let us dissuade you of that notion. It is absolutely selling now. It looks to continue selling in the future because very few people are going to be going back to work full time. It's certainly not in the capacity in which they did beforehand. So I think that part is extremely, extremely encouraging. And I think, as Nick said, like, we're advising all of our customers, like, for the next 12 to 24, we do not think things are going to go back to normal. People are going to be gun shy. You know, they're not going to be going on cruises. They're not going to be going to big shows, big events, large social gatherings. And even if they do, it's not going to be the same percentage, right? It's going to be 30 or 40 or 50%. So the dollars that were available for art purchases in those scenarios are going to be drastically cut down. That's number one. Number two, we think a ton, well, we don't even think, we know a ton of galleries are going to go out of business, are in the process of going out of business. Like Nick said, was on death's doorstep. So there's going to be a huge consolidation there. You know, the great ones will be around and thrive, no question, but it's going to be even harder. The competition to get in there is going to be even harder, and they're probably going to even crank up the percentages they take from the 50% they're at already. So there's a lot to be hopeful for. There's a lot to be fired up about. I think as long as you take your marketing seriously, okay, and as long as you put in the dedicated work, energy, and effort, you're going to be in a much better place over the 12 to 24 months. Art is still going to be sold. Photography is still going to be sold. It's the artist or photographer that is doing their marketing, has a digital setup that is going to take advantage of those dollars that are spent. I think
here's a pretty profound point on that. Like, even if the art market, and I'm just throwing this out there, let's just say that like something really bad happens with the economy over the next year or whatever, and the art market goes down by 20% or something like that. What you guys like, it's such an important thing to wrap your head around is that your individual opportunity, that your market opportunity has actually increased despite that. And let me explain what I mean by that. You live in a local area, right? You probably were doing art shows in that local area, or in galleries in that local area. And I use the example, like, let's say you're an artist in Austin, right? So you worked like the Austin scene and you did all that. And then maybe you had a website, or maybe you didn't, but you really didn't sell all that much online and you didn't do much marketing online. Your market opportunity pre-pandemic was the local Austin market. And then whatever you were doing online, whatever you were able to take advantage of online, right? You were never able to participate in the market in Seattle, the local shows in Seattle that the local artists were taking advantage of there, right? But since everybody that was going to all of these shows and in these galleries is at home and is now online, you actually have an opportunity as the artist in Austin to capture the sale from the guy in Seattle that you otherwise would have never had an opportunity to get. Never. Because that person was buying in person, right? So if you extrapolate that to the entire US, you realize like, whoa, my opportunity as an artist, digitally speaking, is bigger than ever, right? And so like, that just shows you like where you want to be focused in America 2.0, because your market opportunity could increase in size by 10x or 20x, despite what happens on the macroeconomic spectrum, right? And if that happens, like you can significantly grow your business, right? So it's a really interesting way of looking at it, but it's the truth. It's just the truth right now.
Yep. And Taylor or Chris, one of the two of you, will you post in the chat there how people can raise their hands? If you guys look, Lisa's got her hand up so far. We want to start taking your questions. Some quick ones that we can deal with in the chat. Kay Hirsch, what percentage of your customers make more than the initiation cost and monthly fees in their first year? It's a loaded question, Kristen, because some people come in with existing social followings, okay, and that have been marketing for years and have a huge email list, and they make it in the first 2 weeks. And there's some that are literally just starting from scratch. They haven't even validated their art, period. They don't even know if the art that they create is something that the market wants, and so that takes a longer process, and everything in between. So there's no silver bullet like, you know, you're going to get started and you're going to pay back the investment this quickly. Like, we get everything from fast to slow and everything in between. Your complete normal bell curve. And
yeah, you get there's it's like it's also, you know, if you're actually selling prints, you will probably, it's not even probably, you will save enough money on your prints to pay for your membership. Like, without even talking about the sales growth or anything like that. There's so many, you will save more time than you can imagine, you know, following all of our playbooks, using the email templates that we pre-designed for you, using the pre-written email copy, subject lines, and all of these different things. I mean, there's so much value that's in the whole solution. that you can't just look at it from one spectrum, right? You're paying a one-time membership fee to get all of the member benefits for the rest of your life. 20 years. As long as we're in business, you're here, guys, and we're going to support you, you know? And so as we continue to, you know, we add new, you know, fulfillment options, different things. Like, for example, I'll just give you guys an example. This week, we just launched, or we're launching at the end of this week, branded packaging for the automated fulfillment, so that on the outside of the box, it actually has your logo on it. Like, just constantly pushing our vendors to raise the bar. We're constantly negotiating with them to lower their pricing. We are contractually holding their feet to the fire. This is like a personal thing for me because I come from this industry and I know everything about printing. I know every printer, every ink, every media type. I know exactly where all of them are made all over the world. And so our printing companies are forced to disclose exactly what all of those are, because I need to make sure that everything is archival and has been third-party certified. And you know, we also allow them to offer decorative items for lower cost prints, because some people have like decorative art, but those are very specifically called out as like economy options. But it's all this stuff that we're constantly doing in order to provide more value to the membership. It's something that we take very seriously.
Yeah, you know, and Gretchen left us a comment on Facebook. She was watching and she said, it also depends on the effort the artist puts into their site and takes advantage of all the supporting services and training. And yeah, of course, you know, you get out what you put in. We get the common misconception for whatever reason that, you know, we're some sort of magical panacea that make fish jump in the boat and automatically flip the light switch, and all of a sudden you have this massive amount of art customers. And I'm here to tell you that's not what we offer. No one does. That's a myth. So we can equip you. We can equip you and get you moving way quicker than you would have ordinarily. But you know, like anything else, you know, the good things take time. Nick, you ready to get into the questions?
If you properly equip yourself, you guys, you're going to have the wind at your back. You're going to have everything going for you, right? Like, if you know you're going to be an artist for the next 1, 2, 3 years, like if you've been an artist for a while or a photographer and you know that that's what you're going to be doing, or you're going to give it a shot, like, the number one thing that you could do is properly equip yourself, get everything working for you. So especially, like, that's why why we have our proper art gallery websites, why they're so important, is because it is so, when you start doing marketing and you get more traffic and eyeballs, the last thing you want is to waste that, you know, with a bad experience on your website or people coming there with unanswered questions. And so we want you to convert as much of that as possible. So the first thing we have you do is we have you launch the website. We want it live within 2 weeks. And then we want you right into the marketing, because the marketing is what's going to change your entire business. It's going to change your life. It's not the website. Okay. It's the marketing. Like, yes, you need to have that, right? That's how you're going to like squeeze every bit of revenue out of that orange, you know, but it's the marketing that's the game changer.
That's right. Are you ready? You ready for questions, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa, you're first. And again, guys, if you want to raise your hand, we just start at the top of the list and go on down. You can ask anything. You don't necessarily have to be on video if you don't want to be either. If you want to just stay on audio, that's cool. That's too. We're all good either way. But Lisa, you are first. Lisa, you ready? Go.
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thanks.
I want to take an opportunity to meet you and Patrick. I've been watching what you're up to for a while, and actually gave me a few good tips. One is to collect names and information for my clients.
Critical.
Yes.
Critical.
I'm really new at this, so I feel like I got into a gallery for the first time last December, and I'm selling the style that I started. I've sold all my originals in this one style. So I'm going with you guys, but I need to get more pieces so that I can get it going. An opportunity just came up for me to teach a little class. My daughter works for Gallup, and she's like, can you do a little art thing for me? So using your great wisdom about collecting emails, I have a site that's awful on Wix. Any advice for me to take advantage of that to start? Because I have 2 clients that I've been communicating with. Actually, I have a great story. I sent a thank you card to a client who bought one of my pieces. He had negotiated the price down a little bit, sent him a card. He sent me a check for the difference that he had negotiated down. So I'm saying building that relationship is critical. But
great job, Lisa. Like that's phenomenal.
I get a few of this new style I'm working on done before I can work with you guys, because I only have 3 original pieces that are small and not really in the style I like. Any advice for me for taking advantage of this class I'm teaching next Tuesday to grab them, and then as a newbie in the art industry altogether, any words for me there?
Just out of curiosity, you said your daughter works for Gallup, like the polling agency Gallup?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, and I would say big picture, like you always just want to be gathering emails, period, right? Like so many artists gloss over like, what's my niche? What's my style? What's the brand? Well, guess what? You're a solopreneur. You're part of the brand too. And so the relationship people that have with you individually, if they know, like, and trust you individually, you're going to earn the audacity, the ability to email them and contact them in the future, and they're going to be interested in what you do. So you should be gathering an email list at all times. I think it's wonderful that you're teaching the class. I think, in terms of worrying about how many pieces you have to get launched with, and someone put that in the chat, like I only have 4 pieces. The marketing takes time. It just takes time. And there's a whole bunch of stuff to do, and there's a whole bunch of setup, and momentum is a thing. So even with a small number of pieces, it's not worth waiting. It's worth just jumping in and get going and start on the marketing, and you just start working at it in earnest. If you sold well offline, you are 100% ready for online. And so that's sort of what we'd say. But Nick, what would you say?
Yeah, I think Lisa was saying I think she might have said that she sold the original, so she doesn't even have any. So she's got to like actually have some inventory.
Oh yeah, they're not even photographed. Is that true, Lisa? They're not even photographed?
Right. I don't have good photographs of any of my pieces. But I have a few old prints and an old style.
Right.
What I would say to you though, like right off the bat, you're a perfect fit for us. Like, can't wait to have you on board. It's going to be awesome. And we have quite a few members that are in a similar position as you in regards to they're selling art and they're selling courses. One in particular comes to mind. She does really well. She sells them for like $45, a lesson or something. And she's doing this all through our platform, because you can set up like what we call a standard product, and she just sells it right on her website as a standard product, and people buy it. And she sells a lot of them. She sells a lot, and then in the email receipt that comes from that, you have the ability to customize the link in there, so you can give them the private link to like wherever they go, whether it's like a private Instagram account or a Zoom, meeting, wherever you're doing it. So, but that's what I would do. Like in the meanwhile, until you're ready, if you're good, like just come up with a price and start selling access to them and go from there. And there's a lot of other tactical that we're going over in regards to like how you can even take advantage of that following even further, right? To sell more of your art, which is interesting because we've got a lot of people who are like, I've got a lot of photographers following me. Like I've got a lot of painters following me because they're really, really good at what they do, And there's different ways from a marketing standpoint to kind of exploit it as you're building both sides. So that's my advice. I think you're on a phenomenal path. Like the fact that you've listened to those things that we've been talking about, and you understand the concept of like building leads and like doing all of that, like you've got a really bright future.
Yeah, and especially when you're sold out of all your work, that's a big deal too. Okay, Jenny Designs, you're up next. Jenny Designs, go ahead.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Great opportunity today. Thanks again. I have a full marketing and graphic design background that finally I was able to say, I'm going to let go of that a couple of years ago because my artwork and teaching took over. I have a GoDaddy website that is just hard to maneuver, hard to work with, but I paid $800 for it. And I'm just trying to deal with the fact that is that wasted money? How do I integrate that back over into Art Storefronts?
This is the perfect story that we love more than anything else, because you learn the hard way that the website is only part of the battle. It's, the analogy that we use, that I like to use, it's like, it's like buying a Ferrari, right? Like we like to think that we sell the Ferrari of websites. It's the highest end one ever. But if you don't have the marketing, then the Ferrari is sitting in your driveway with no gas in the tank. It just sits there and it looks pretty. It does nothing. It's not going anywhere. It's not winning in any races. You're not cruising down PCH, waving at the honeys or any of the rest of it. It's worthless. You have to have the marketing piece too. If you don't have the two pieces in conjunction, you're not going to get there. So when we say you have 99.99999 of artists and photographers have a marketing problem, it just keeps coming up. Like, you have to have the marketing. It's a two-pronged attack. I mean, it just is.
Jenny, and I'll answer your question just directly. Like, just ditch it, cut your losses, and move on.
Oh,
yes, 100%. Because it's like, you know what it's like. It's like I'm watching you dig a swimming pool with a spoon, and I'm like, Jenny, just stop. Like, go get a tractor. Like just stop, right? Like, you got to move forward, and it's painful to think about, but like, you need to move your business forward, and it's just not going to happen there.
Yeah, and the ROI, I really appreciate I know so much of it, and I can apply it. I've got clients all over the world that call and say, I need 600 original painted cards to distribute to my employees this year for Christmas. Okay, so that was a German connection. Now I've got several other German connections. I'm stranded in the Midwest of Illinois, and I have great connections all over, but I need to bring them together in one beautiful packaged opportunity. And this is where I'm at. I'm also an art maker, but I'm an educator as well, and I really appreciate what you just told someone, and I don't know her name, the art courses. So to sell the art courses, to get those
phenomenal opportunity right now. And I mean, this gal that's doing it, and she's really, really good. And thanks for the questions, Jenny. She's really, really good. Okay. She's got a very solid social following and has for a long time. And, I would say to you guys, to a T, and this just needs to be said, we have a good number of artists that are selling over 6 figures online on a yearly basis. And they all have one thing in common. They are constantly working on their marketing. They are constantly on Instagram. I can't go onto Instagram without seeing one of their stories present. I can't go onto Facebook without seeing one of their posts. So this artist in question, her name is Betty Krause. I think she sold over 12,000, 13,000 of these courses on the last clip. And all it is her on a Zoom session teaching people to paint. That's it. And one of the things that Nick and I obsess about is, we are a software company at the end of the day, right? Art Storefronts. And that's all well and good. And 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, you could survive being a software company, and you could sell your software, and that could be a business. Those days, thankfully, are over. They're done. They're gone. Just having a software product is no longer enough. In order to be successful for our business, you can't just have a software product. You need to have successful customers. And so how do you create successful customers? You make sure that they are capable of selling and equipped to sell as much art or photography online as they want. But guess what? We find that oftentimes that's not even enough. You're a solopreneur, okay? And so you're a solopreneur, an artist, a photographer, and you have that sitting there. Next to that, we have the fact that you need attention to sell whatever you're going to sell. So whether it's your art or your photography, as you guys all know, 99% of a marketing problem, you don't have enough attention on it. Okay. If attention is so hard to get then we also want to focus on what are ways that we can get more income, more revenue out of the attention that we do owe. So we're obsessed on additional revenue sources that we can bolt into your businesses. And we haven't even talked about some of the other ones that we've offering, Nick, you probably should, that we've been working on. But big picture, like, our job is to create successful customers And we realized that by being laser focused on that, we don't care how we do it. I don't care if you sell originals, if you sell limited editions, if you sell open editions, if it's a ton of prints, if it's coasters, if it's the service-based side of your business that's growing at the greatest clip, if it's commissions, or if it's like some of our new features that we can talk about. Even having multiple revenue sources makes so much sense for an artist or a photographer. So we talk about these teaching classes online. What a fantastic way to bolster your regular business and continue to grow your business. And so we're obsessed with how we figure out what's working for our customers and to teach them to double down on that and get the most ROI of it as possible. And then also think about these other revenue sources.
When you actually step back, like when you get a demo, when you get like a full demo and you see everything that we're doing and you see all of the details of the pricing and all that stuff, you guys will see that every single thing is designed in alignment with you, right? Like if you don't succeed, we are dead as a company. It's over.
Yep.
And so everything that like every review that you see, if you've seen our reviews on Facebook or Trustpilot or Google, like if you haven't, definitely look at those, compare it to other companies in the industry. Like you will see why all of that exists. And it's because there is only one path. And it's exactly what Patrick just said.
Yep. Okay, Carrie, you're up next. Carrie Granger, go ahead.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you spending the time walking through this for everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining
quick
us.
question, it may have been covered, and if it has, I'll review the notes. What is the logistics of submitting art to you guys if it's not been professionally photographed?
You need to get it photographed. There's people who do it with if they've got like a high quality phone.
Yeah, sure. No problem. I just didn't know if we submitted art to you. That's fine. So we just need to take care of it locally.
Yeah. And people talk about that all the time. There's a lot of discussion amongst our members in our private forum, about the best ways to do that.
Very good. No, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And I would also say, Carrie, like, when you're an entrepreneur and you learn lessons the hard way, they stick with you for your life, And let's just say that getting all your art photographed and up on the site is going to be a big expense, and you're concerned about it, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this. I learned this lesson early on in my career. When you start a new business, when you go start the business bank account, it's not when you're getting things set up. It's when you have a check in your hand that needs to be deposited, because until then, you don't have a damn business. And so you know what I would do? I would photograph all of my art with my iPhone. I would put it up online. I would wait until I got an order. Once I had an order, I would email that person immediately. Patrick, thank you so much. We just got a higher end photographer, and so we're gonna have this work rephotographed. Then I'd go out and hustle and find the guy to take the picture. Then I would upload it, and then I would worry about it. That's how I would go about it. Because let me tell you, to get it sold in the online capacity, you pass that bar, everything else is downhill. That's what I would say.
I saw, and I'll say this though, I saw coming from the printing industry and having an eye for like, the quality of a captured image. Like I saw an image yesterday or the day before. We were looking at it, like the support team was looking at it because there were some questions coming in, and it was taken off an iPhone because we could see in the metadata, and of course we confirmed that with the customer. But I was shocked. I was shocked to see how good of a quality the image was. Now you couldn't blow it up to the biggest sizes, right? But for like lighting and just the quality of what you could actually print and just get that thing off the ground, I think the size was like, probably like the max size was maybe, I'm guessing now, maybe it was 18 by 24 or 20 by 30, but it's definitely enough to just to get things off the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that way of going about it. Like, figure it out after the fact, right? Okay, Anchi, I'm sorry if I got your name pronounced right. Anchi, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, it's Antje.
Ancha. Okay. Where are you from?
I live in Maine.
You live in Maine.
Grew up in Germany.
Grew up in Germany. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm a sculptor, so I feel a little bit out in the group here. Everybody, you're gearing towards painters and photographers. So I'm wondering, do you have any samples of, sculptors, or, I'm coming from the jewelry world, so I have a collection of jewelry and belt buckles, stuff like that, and also my sculptures. Is that something that would fit in with your offerings?
So The answer is yes. We focus on wall art with like a lot of our front end features on the site, but with sculptures, like you just add them in as a standard product, is what we call it, like within our platform. No matter what we do, sculptors keep signing up, and the reason is because the website isn't the issue. Like, I mean, you're basically utilizing like generic website features for the most part, and it's really about the marketing. It's about art marketing, and building an audience and doing all the things that every other artist has to do. Build your own business, and so sculptors keep signing up with us. So what I would say is, if you know what we're doing and you like what we're doing, request a demo and talk to some of our people, and just go through all those details, and like, you want to join Art Storefronts for the marketing, okay? Like, that's your main thing. You're going to have the website, no problem. Like, the website's going to be great for you, but the marketing is where we're going to really help you. And if you think that we can help you, then you'll be a good fit.
Yeah, and I would say, like, the marketing doesn't discriminate in the slightest, right? Like, it doesn't discriminate between wall art or sculpture or anything else. But the funny thing is like, okay, yeah, so our wall preview tool and some of our other features are not totally geared towards sculptors. But what website software is totally geared towards sculptors? I don't think one exists out there. Is there any like 3D yeah? So I mean,
that's the point.
The alternative is just going to be the same thing, I think, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I just that's exactly right. So the website, no matter what, is the website, right? And then it all comes down to the marketing and building the business, and being around a community of other artists that are, have the same philosophy. If you fit that, then you're actually a good fit, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you sold well over the years?
Well, I can't sell really well. I started out selling jewelry and then some belt buckles, and then a few years ago I got into sculptures, and now I'm creating mobiles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been here and there. I'm represented by a few galleries and
Locally. Got it. In Maine. Yeah. Well, it looks very comfortable where you are. I'd like to be out on a deck right there. So, yeah. Thanks.
I have another question about the website in general. When I'm building a website, let's say through WordPress, and that will, and if I get it to function all right, and if it has e-commerce and stuff, so that is right there. And if I'm signing up with you, I have the website and the marketing. If you guys go out of business, will my website still be there?
No, it wouldn't. But we're not going out of business, so don't worry. We're doing just fine. And you can, if you're worried about that, I would do some research on me and my background. And I think you'll be, you'll find a little bit more comfort in that. I've been an entrepreneur for many years. I have multiple successful businesses, and Art Storefronts we're not like venture funded or anything like that. Like, this is a family business, and we're doing fine. We're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Thanks for the questions. Okay, John, you're up next. John McMullen, go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yes. Hey, John.
Yeah, thanks guys for putting this meeting together.
Sure.
I've been getting your emails for a while, and I guess that got my confidence up. And I just got recently introduced to Zoom, so I think this is really, really great timing. So what I basically want to find out is I'm both a photographer, so I'm an artist, but I'm also a curator. I do pop-up art shows. I have been doing them for many years in Manhattan, New York City.
Mm-hmm.
That's all been shut down right now,
Yeah.
And for quite a while, I've neglected to focus on my own career, preferring mostly to support the careers of others, emerging artists primarily. So I'm trying to find out how this program that you have would work for someone like me, who might want to both promote my own art, but also bring in other artists that I know, because I've worked with so many, over many years, and I'd like to share that with them. Is there a way that that I could set up a program with you that would kind of satisfy those needs? Similar to what I do in the real world, which is the pop-up thing.
Well, what you could do is there's two ways you could go. So when you become a member, that's for like one person only, one business only, right?
Right.
So you could become a member and then have your own website with your own brand, okay? And then if you want to have another website that's like your gallery, like let's call it, like because that's where you're promoting these other artists, so it might contain your work and their work.
Yeah.
You can add another website for only the monthly fee. You don't pay the membership fee again.
Oh, okay.
Right? You just can't, what you can't do is like buy one for another artist and have them like cheat the membership. But since both of them are your businesses, then you can do that. So we have quite a few people with actually 2 websites on the platform.
What if I can get that artist to sign up for their own site? Would there be
they would need to just contact us and join as a regular member. That's the only member.
You don't do any referral programs or anything like that?
Oh yeah, we have a referral program for sure.
Yeah, because I think I could probably steer some business your way at the same time as helping them kind of get the initial taste of it, the launch and that type of stuff.
For sure, that would be awesome. That would be
How many pages do you offer on a on a gallery type site? Would that?
There's no limit, like to pages.
Okay.
I think there's a product limit. You'll have to go over those details with like when they, with one of our guys, when you request a demo, They can show you all of that, all the different numbers on that, but you should be fine.
Okay. So there are some clients that you have currently, they're doing that, I imagine.
Oh, we have full-blown art galleries on the platform.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like, who do they're significant sized businesses.
Now, in terms of the printing, that's another great feature, because as a photographer, I can't even get to the labs right now. I have New Art here. I've got some of the best labs in the world, but I can't, and they do have online services, but at the same time, not directly, seamless with the buyer,
Right.
So if I order, it's different. But how do you compare your services to, say, someone like DuArt or some of those kind of leading name, companies?
Well, we're using the best in the business. I mean, I've been in this business for 20 years. I know everything about printing, right? I'll tell you this, John, everybody's using the exact same printers, ink, and media types. There's no difference. And so it's all about branding and marketing. It's printing art is essentially a commodity, and people will hate me saying that, but I'm just telling the truth. I'm just literally telling the truth. And so, with our print vendors, like I force them to disclose what the printer, ink, and media types are by brand name, and so that way, you can make, like, people can make an apples to apples comparison. But we have the highest quality that you can offer, and then we have downward from there, and it's all your choice, right? So you could literally offer the most expensive Ferrari media types that you can imagine, right? And then going down to other people who sell like decorative art and want more like economy canvases and papers, So the quality is first class. Like one of our vendors is Bay Photo. They've been in the industry for 40 years in California. They're considered one of the top 3 photo labs in the country. There's Bay Photo, there's Miller's, and there's White House. Best labs in the country, right? And so, like, from a photography standpoint, you can't really get better than that. So the ones that you're working with are they're all using the same printers and inks and media types at the end of the day. And so it just comes down to service. So now what's important about the big guys, the reason that we've got the big guys, like some of the biggest guys, is because shipping and packaging is a major issue when you're selling online, right? And the big guys are getting a way better rate on shipping and a way better rate on box packaging than anyone else by far, right? Like Bay Photo, like if you get an order from like Spain, their shipping rates are so good that like the rates are almost localized rates. Like it's crazy. So for example, I think a shipment like of a general, like call it like an 18 by 24 canvas print or any type of a print that goes in a box, or a tube or something, to, from California to Miami might be like $19.95. Well, to ship that to Spain, it's like $24.95. Like, it's crazy how good those rates are. And the small guys just can't compete with any of that. The economies of scale that these guys have, they have fully automated workflows, and things like that. And so that allows you guys to get better pricing, where, and that's profit margin for you. I want you guys to have that more profit margin per sale. And in addition to that, I don't want anybody worrying about any of these things at all. So
you're passing that on to the artist rather than just to yourself.
Correct. Exactly. And so
very good. Okay. It's good to know.
Yeah. So we're trying to give you guys the most robust print fulfillment possible if you want to use it, with great pricing and quality of service and all of that. Like, we also handle the service for you. So when you have an issue, you let our team know, and we go and we talk to the printing company, like get the shipping issue dealt with and all that stuff. And so that you're not dealing with a whole bunch of back and forth. So it's very white glove.
How do you differentiate yourself from other companies in your space?
There's nobody who does what we do. There's not a single other company that offers any sort of business or marketing consulting as a product. It's not in any industry. I personally, as an entrepreneur, expect it to emerge in many other industries, because we basically productized a marketing solution, right? Where most photographers and artists could not just go out and hire a full-time marketing person or a consultant at $100 to $200 an hour. And so we're doing it like a co-op where everybody's pitching in, all the members are pitching in, and they have a fixed rate. And then as a result of that, you're paying a fraction of the cost, and you've got a marketing team that's working for you and consulting. Now you actually execute and do the work, but we're telling you exactly what to do step by step to make that happen. So that's the consulting side. But the website side, we have probably, I don't know, 100 or 200 more art selling features than any other art platform that's out there. Obviously, there's generic website platforms, but like I was saying earlier, generic websites, portfolio websites, they just don't work. And so if you just drive a lot of traffic at those, you have a lackluster customer experience. And so, your buyers are frustrated. They don't know, they can't make decisions with what you're providing. And oftentimes they just click the back button and leave your website. So we're trying to make sure that that the maximum number of visitors convert into buyers from the marketing that you're doing. And it's the combination of both of those that creates our all-in-one solution.
And there's so many tropes involved there, right? Like,
there are.
I would go back to what I said earlier about success, and that is literally what underpins and drives everything that we do at the company. We realize that if we do not have successful photographers and artists, then we are not going to have a business, and that's just the long and the short of it. And if you look at most photographers and artists out there, what do they often do? What are we always constantly seeing? They're constantly hopping around from one website to another website to a marketplace, back off of the marketplace, maybe a portfolio site, then I'm going to go somewhere else, then I'm going to go somewhere else. Why do they keep hopping around? Because there's some sort of premise that underlines this whole thing, that it's some magical spot where you just upload your work, it sells, and you're just out there creating, like something like that exists. And it just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, period. And so you have the website piece, yes, okay? You have online education. Let's talk about online education. And we have this one stat that we'd love to go back to my previous point. What percentage of Shopify stores fail, Nick?
99%.
99% of the people that launch a Shopify store fail. Why?
Google it.
Yep.
Google 99% of all Shopify stores fail.
Why? Because they have the same problem. They have the same problem that everyone else does, right? They have a marketing problem, and that's just how it goes. So I would say, in addition to all the rest of it, what we've found, and this is also a profound thing, prior to, you could even say, this pandemic starting, we were like a lot of other companies out there in the sense that we published really, really good content, okay? So when I say a lot of other companies, we were like a lot of like good online learning companies that are out there. And take your pick, like a Kajabi or a Coursera or any of those ones, right? And we had an amazing podcast. I hosted that thing, highest rated art marketing podcast in iTunes. I think many of you have heard it. We had amazing blog posts, and we would create these things. We'd create like 90% of them we would put out there. The secret sauce we would keep for our customers, and we would say, hey guys, here's all this wonderful education. Go ahead and do it, and good luck, right? And that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. And that's the same thing you see in all these online course markets, that everybody buys these courses, whether it's a Photoshop course or a Lightroom course or how to market yourself course, and no one ever finishes them, right? No one ever finishes. The stats are like profound on how few people finish these online courses. And the situation is that it's not enough. You can't just throw a digital guide at somebody and say, take this, run, and figure it all out. You need ongoing, regular coaching and support. You need it for the support structure. You need it for the motivation side of things. You need it for what do you do in this situation? What happens here? I'm stuck with this. I hit the wall with this. When you combine those two things, that's when you're cooking with gas. When we have all of these marketing playbooks and these tactics, everything from sales to how you price, to how you lay out your website, to how to run a giveaway, to how to run a contest, all aspects of digital marketing are in there. We have these playbooks for, and we don't just publish them. We teach you how to run them. You come into a Zoom call like this and you say, Patrick, I'm stuck on this. Where is the language on this? What should I do about this? How do I send an email to an unknown? What about Facebook ads? What about posting on Instagram? What about going live on Instagram? What about Facebook? That is what we found is the secret sauce. So in your case, John, if you do have an art gallery, all of those other artists that would potentially join on you are going to rely on you for your marketing. So why the POD? Because we don't want you wasting your time on the knucklehead printing stuff and driving down to the print shop and then having the print come to your house and all the rest of that. You got to focus on the marketing. So that would be the end of my rant on that one. Alton, you're up next. Alton, go ahead.
Wait, really quick. Well, I'm showing a screen share right now as you were talking.
Yep.
But I was scrolling down and showing, we've got these product comparison pages with common, generic website platforms. Zenfolio and SmugMug are like photographer platforms for like service photographers and more portfolio style websites. Mm-hmm. But the story is the same on all of them. Like you can click on any of these and you'll see this is part of the reason, like you got basic website features, art selling features. And if you click on any of them, you'll see where we stack up. And so on the basic website features, there's certain things that we offer that they don't. But then when you get into all the art specific stuff, this is where it's just a constant stream of features that you're getting that are specific to this business and running this business, right? And that's where it's like what I was telling Jenny earlier, like you don't want to, if you're going to be doing this, don't dig a swimming pool with a spoon, right? Get the right tool for the job. And that's the point of like, get a proper art gallery website, get everything you need, and then move on, right, to the marketing, which is making Pat's point right there. So you guys can look at these. Let's put these in the show notes, Chris, if we can, so people can look at them. But you can very easily just Google it. And like I Googled, in order to get to the Squarespace one, I just did ASF or Art Storefronts versus Squarespace. And you can do versus Shopify. It should be probably the first thing that comes up. But that'll give you the idea. And if anybody wondered why we give demos, is because you're probably looking at this list here and going, whoa, what is all of this? There's a lot. Like you get a lot. So there's a lot to see and go over. And in fact, when you become a member, you're gonna probably be exposed to 5 features that you didn't even know we had.
Yep. Okay, Alton, you're up next.
Let's go with Alton. Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead. Alton, are you there? Let's see. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. We got you. What's up, Alton? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm here in Spring, Texas. I do reverse glass artwork. One of my biggest issues is, I've been doing it for quite some time. You hit on something a second ago about bouncing around here, there, and everywhere, like on GoDaddy or whatever, and other platforms that doesn't get you where you want to be, right? Some of my questions were that, first of all, it's reverse glass painting. You're taking pictures of the image, making sure that you want a high quality image without reflection. But that's number 2 question is where that you want to get what your work, because all these are one of a kind, all original, no copies. Copies are very far and few in between as far as making sure you get something that, there again, clear without reflection. right?
Right. So let's take one at a time. So you're asking about how to capture the image so that you can make reproductions, right? Or I'm sorry, capture the art so that you can make prints from it.
I would say that's one of the questions. Yes, that's definitely one of the questions. But I want a market. I want to have a platform, a one-stop shop where that I want to be internationally, worldwide connected, instead of just a small town in Texas or between Houston and the Woodlands or whatever, right? I want it to be connected. My assistant, Ms. Smith, she asked me, do I have a client list, which she brought that to my attention. Out of all these years, I have not kept up with a client list, okay? I want to be able to do that and stay on track of everything that is going on. The sales, updates, when I might be having a showing. How do I get this information out to everyone, but be all in one spot to do so?
Okay, so in regards to the capture, a professional photographer would be the person that you want to get to like capture your stuff.
And what I just recently did, which I tune back in with you later. I just recently bought a 10 by 10 tent, all white, surroundings.
Yep.
Put it in there, poke a little hole in there, and take the picture without any reflection. So I will get back with you once I set that up. But definitely, I want to know about pricing. Sometimes you can hit people with the price and prices are too high, because how do you connect with people that you want to get to know? You want to get what you're worth, basically. Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Alton. Like we're here to help. We're here to help artists and photographers build their own businesses with their own types of clientele. Anywhere where they are, all over the world, great. If they're primarily in the US, it doesn't matter. We're helping you to build your business in the most, efficient, organized way that you possibly can do it. We want to get your marketing in order so that you're doing consistent marketing. Like we have a contact manager in our site manager. That's where all your emails and everything can go into, right? And we're trying to help you keep the whole thing organized. And most important, like to grow your client list, to get you more exposure and more eyeballs so that you can grow your business. That's what it is at the highest level. So we're not an online art gallery, just to be clear, like where you upload your work and like we're getting right. Yeah, we're helping you build your business, your website, your brand on www.altoncooperfineart.com or whatever your website address is, and we're going to help you take your existing client list, build your social media following, get more sales out of those people, build that list. We want you to build your email list, get way more people to know who you are, because the more people it's all a sales funnel, right?
Okay.
You get leads into the top. You get more emails and leads into the top, and a percentage of them are going to come out the bottom as sales, right? That's just how that's not my idea. That's just how business works, right? That's just how any business works. And so marketing is what accomplishes that. Does that make sense?
Quickly, can you give me the first 3 to 5 steps on what steps should I take to get from me writing it down, you talking to me, and getting it going?
What I would do is just request a demo with one of our team members and let them just like get your assistant on that when you do that, and let them just kind of walk you through everything and answer all of your questions, and write down all the questions that you have, and they'll go through everything as much time as you need.
Yep. And in terms of getting what you're worth, on your pieces, like you're going to price your pieces, and you're ultimately in control of that. And we have a number of different strategies and tactics that we like to employ and teach about pricing, and how you price high if you want to discount, and all those sorts of things. But ultimately, you're in control of the price point that you're going to charge and what you're going to potentially get out of that. But we do have some strategies for you on it. But good questions all, and what an interesting niche. Super cool.
Yeah, and the way you do that too online is like you have to build value. You have to build value, right? And you can do that. We coach on this and we talk about this in our strategies, but it's how you It's what type of content you're sending out, and things like that. But you can build the value, and then it all makes sense. And then all your prices all make sense.
Yep.
If you just have like a flat image on a website and your marketing is bad, then people are going to be like, what is this? I don't even understand it. I don't even know who Alton is. But if they're building, if you're romancing them, right? And we call it romance marketing, and you're doing it the right way, then when they come to buy and they see your prices, they're like, I get what this is all about. Like the value's been built up.
Yep. Joan Cox, you're up next. Joan, go ahead. Are you there, Joan? Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. How you doing?
Sorry, I was muted. Great. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on to ask a question. John mentioned something about, friends, other artists, whatever, gallery style. Are you actively marketing this software to small galleries? All these ones that you're talking about will be, possibly shuttering their doors or not going to fairs anymore.
We're letting everybody, anybody who wants to join that we feel that we can help become successful, we will work with, but that's the filter that we have.
Right, because it totally makes sense for me for one-on-one, but I'm in a really new relationship with a gallery where I just had a solo show, and they're a really new gallery, and I think they're young and smart and possibly interested in, I want to share this with them, like, hey, get a demo too. Like, could they just as easily represent their core of artists, through this system and make the sales for me and do all the marketing stuff? Like, I don't want to do all this marketing stuff. I get it. I need to do it. I don't even have an email list.
You really need to do it, because one gallery is not going to solve your problems or get you anything special long term. Like, that's a really, really important thing to say, because, essentially a gallery, like, they have to do the same thing for every artist to be successful. And it's a lot of work, and it's just impossible. Like, you can't do it. And so they're going to have to pick their racehorses and their winners and losers, and whoever their winners are at that time, they're going to go with, and it never lasts that long, right? Like, I know really successful artists. I know this industry like inside and out. And so, guys that are like racehorses for 1 year or 2 years, they fall out of style and then they're gone, and then what do you do? What do you do, right? It's no different than an algorithm change on an online gallery. Like, if you happen to upload to an online gallery and you sell some stuff, and then all of a sudden 3 months later, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not selling anymore because they took you off the homepage or they moved things around. That always happens. And you're never going to control your own destiny until you actually do it yourself, or you hire somebody to, like, an assistant, or, we have a guy on our platform who's a member who does marketing for other artists. And you have to pay him to do it. But his name's John Lechner. And if you request a demo, like, if you're interested in that, my team can probably connect you with him. Because it sounds like you're selling, and like you're a good artist. And are you, or no?
Yeah. Have you I've been doing this for years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like you're not somebody just starting from scratch that he would work with. He'd probably prefer to work with people that are in your position. And so you can just see what it costs, because he knows how. The great part about him is that he knows how to do all of our marketing. He's been doing it successfully, right? And so he essentially is going to do the work that you're not going to do, but you can do it anytime you want to, And so that's another option for you. Because I just think, my advice to you is just as a experienced business person is like, I would really want you to build your own brand and your own company, and work with the gallery, continue to work with the gallery, but they're one tiny little spoke in your whole marketing wheel of the rest of your life, of you building a brand business, And so even if you just chip away at building your own brand and you play the marathon slow game, it's better than doing nothing.
Well, that's kind of what I've been doing for 20 years. And then I literally have the contract right here from the gallery. I haven't even signed it yet, but they already gave me this show and everything, and they're just like promising all these things that, they're going to do. And I'm like, yay, I finally have help. I've already been doing all these things on my own. But I think, and before now, I didn't believe in any online sales whatsoever. You can't buy art that you can't touch and see. Right. But I think, COVID-19 just has changed everything. And I totally believe it's changed the whole art market. And I think you guys are just primed and right in the right spot. And I think, yeah.
And it was selling before like crazy online.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you a story, Joan, because I own a manufacturing company and we make canvas and fine art paper and all that stuff, right? And after the 2008 recession is when it really shifted online. It's been that long because we saw being behind as selling rolls of canvas, rolls of paper to all the printing companies and even individual artists and photographers who had their own printers. We saw the volume. We were in just a completely unique position to watch the volume shift from the people who were not selling online to the people that were selling online. And I saw it happen. And that's part of the inspiration for why we started Art Storefronts. Yeah. And like this was 2013 when we founded the company, or 2014, I think. And it was because I saw this and everybody was kind of thinking the same thing as you, where it's like, but there's no way art sells online. I mean, you have to remember back in 2003, 2004, 2005, everybody said clothes won't sell online. Oh, there's no way. No way shoes will sell online. Every single product like that has always been said that it hasn't sold online, right? Well, Tesla sells 100% of their cars online. You cannot buy one unless it's online, right? Selling $100,000, $120,000 cars online. Everything sells online these days, right? So it's been happening all before. And it's good. I only tell you this because I just want you to know that and just be like, it's great mentally to understand, like, you know what? Why did I not believe that before? You know, where was I getting my information from?
Yeah. Well, warming up. As you said, all of those sites where you can just upload your art and hope that somebody buys them. I've been ignoring those for 10 years. I get emails every week. Hey, upload your art. Hey, we saw your art. I had my own gallery in New Orleans and Hurricane Katrina came and shut it down. You know, I've been up, down, and all around.
A lot.
Yeah. Up, down, and all around. And I run my own graphic design business, so I know all about design and marketing, but I'm always doing it for somebody else, and I'm not so good at doing it for myself. I do the social media part, but not on a schedule, and I can see the value of, you know, basically the productizing, as you mentioned, of your marketing.
And it's John, it's so important. It's so important.
For a long time, and I have to say, I've been getting your emails for weeks, and I'm finally participating. I'm like, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, looks good. So keep it up. The constant barrage of emails. I think us artists are stubborn.
Without the digital piece, it's no different than having, like, you know, your retirement account all in one stock, right? Like, you know, you just have no diversity there, and it's terrifying to see what's happened because, you know, we've been contacted by so many people, and it, like, literally it breaks our heart. Like, they had solid, steady offline income, and they just didn't worry about the digital piece at all, and all of a sudden, boom, this thing hits. No one saw it coming. Black swan event, and they've got nothing. No email list, no social following, nowhere, you know, no way save spending tons of money on ads, which are really difficult to learn how to do, to get their art, their photography in front of people, and it's terrifying. And I just don't think anyone should ever be caught in that situation. And, you know, it doesn't matter even if you still have offline cooking for whatever reason. Like, you do not do that in lieu of building your own personal brand and the attention that you own. You do it in addition to, and it takes time. And when you understand the perspective piece of how long it takes, and then you understand the further perspective that you guys aren't like tax accountants, like, I'm going to be a tax accountant, and then I'm so sick of that job when I go somewhere else. Like, you're pretty much an artist or a photographer for life, right? And you're going to be able to sell that art, that photography, well into your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and sometimes even 90s, right? So when you look at that and you understand the perspective of how much time you have, like, it doesn't matter if you're stressed and you have 2 jobs going on and you can only throw an hour or 2 a day, or an hour or 2 a week. Take that hour or 2 a week, do it 52 weeks in a row, stretch that out over 4 or 5 years, and you are in such a better place, digitally speaking, than you would have been otherwise. So whether you have to hire somebody or whether you got to do it yourself, you can't have all your eggs in one basket, right? Like, you can't be reliant on one source of attention, whether online, offline, or anything in between. So I don't know. It's something we're really passionate about and fired up on.
Yeah, no, it's a great point because it's like you pay a one-time membership fee at Art Storefronts. So you have to pay that anyway, whether it's now or in the future. So after that, you just have your monthly fee, and you're going to have a monthly website fee anyway. So, you know, you might as well start building your future, like one step at a time for whatever hours you can put in, you know, and then just start building it. And then you've got that diversity. Like I just wish for everybody, you know, that's been doing art for, you know, 10 years or 20 years even. Like, if you started building it this way right from the start, you'd be in a completely different position right now. And that'll become self-evident as you get more involved in what we're doing and understanding, because it's all about having your own lead list and your own customer list that you can keep going back to, and then amplifying that, using marketing strategies to amplify that. But it's all about giving you control and stopping you from being in a position where, you're reliant on galleries or anything else where you just have zero control.
Yeah. But great question.
That's the starving artist model. And I'm like the Paul Revere, of the industry, trying to tell everybody, no, understand what the right model is, and stop listening to all these other things, right? Because what I'm talking about is not rocket science. It is literally business 101 that applies to every industry. For some reason in the art industry, I've seen it forever. There's so much BS being pumped into people's heads. There's blog posts here, there's articles here, there's so many things. Complex forces are afoot, to stop just the most basic logical thing of just building a business. And that's really all you have to do.
Yep. Great question though. All right. Janine, you're up next. Go ahead, Janine.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much.
Our
I'm
pleasure.
excited to be on this.
Hi, Janine.
I've been binge watching all your podcasts.
I love that.
I love your message. I'm not sure how I didn't know about you guys. I've been in this art and design, graphic design business for a long time. And I received something probably from an Instagram live, because that's what I'm mostly on.
Mm-hmm.
I did talk to Nate with a demo yesterday, and I'm definitely on board. I'm just trying to work out a few little details, ask a few questions, and maybe you can answer them here.
Mm-hmm.
They're real basic. So I currently have a WordPress site. It's a design and art site. I recently, Jenny Design, I put $600 in with a local web developer, and I just can't get the support. And I realized, you know what, this is confusing. Your product came to me at just the right time. So I'm no one needs to convince me. I can see the absolute benefits of it. So my question is, currently I'm hosted with a host company called Bluehost. My site is WordPress, and they also host my two. I have an email account with my own domain name and a secondary one, which I seldom use. I did ask if you guys host the emails. Is that possible? Is that part of? It's not.
We don't. But so what you'll end up doing is you'll keep the email hosting, which is super cheap, and you will end up canceling your web hosting, so you don't have that expense, because we cover the web hosting.
Gotcha. So I can stay with Bluehost on the email. That's good.
That's right.
All right. I better get with them, because I think my renewal is in May.
Wait, what do you mean? Bluehost is just your domain email, right? It's not like your okay.
No, my domain is JCDA. It's my company name.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one that I'll use.
But they're handling your domain hosting is what he's saying.
Yeah, they're a host company basically.
Yeah.
And they offer decent support, but it's just a whole different deal. And then the other question that I had was, he sent me the pricing thing, and I scrolled down to the bottom and I saw transaction fee. That's not come up. Can you explain what that is?
He is required to go over all of that with you in detail.
I don't want to get anybody in trouble here.
Well, it's actually like a very firm requirement on the pricing. Like every detail has to go over. So just let him know and he'll go over it again with you.
Okay. All right.
He'll pull up that screen and do the whole thing again, and you can tell him that you talked to me.
Oh no!
He'll be fine. Don't worry.
No, he was extremely helpful. But you know what? I saw the top part of it, and then I scrolled up later. I was like, oh, what's that? And let me make sure there wasn't any other question. But my questions are very basic. And I also, like I said, I did just spend $600 on adding WooCommerce to my WordPress site, and money is not in abundance right now. I'm one of these graphic designers who has basically got no work, so I'm taking advantage of this time to put these things in place, and I want to kind of get it done. I'm looking at going with the silver plan because I want the wall preview, but the virtual reality, I don't know. I truthfully, part of it's a function of cost.
If it's a function of cost, you got to do what you got to do. You can upgrade later. As I always say, it's like, just properly equip yourself, right? Like you do it once and it's over. Like you can be with us for 10 years or 20 years, right? Like when you really look at it over that, it's just like, give yourself the tools to succeed and then start marketing. That's it.
Right, and I'm definitely excited about that. I feel that the wall preview is going to do it. When I saw that little baby crib, I was excited because a lot of my stuff is geared for children. And
all of it works together. I mean, there's tons of features, there's tons of functionality in there. They can't even go over all of it in every demo, but all of it works together to create, you know, results when you do marketing. So it's not just the wall preview; it's everything. I mean, one of our photographers, John Lechner, he was written up in a newspaper. He tripled his sales with the augmented reality tool. You know what I mean? So like all of these things, like they matter, you know, in their own individual ways, but go with what you're comfortable with and you can upgrade later.
Yeah. And then start in earnest on the marketing, which is the most important part early on. Okay, John, you've got another question. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. What's the best way to follow up on getting a demo scheduled?
Just request a demo. It's in the show notes down here. Like there's a link there, but if you just go to our website, there's always a button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen that says request a demo. It'll usually be like bright orange or something like that. If you do that, they'll, you know, you'll get on with somebody like Reed, who was on the beginning of the call, or one of the other people on the outreach team, and tell them exactly, you know, what your situation is and what we talked about, and they'll help you facilitate it. I would just go ahead and like, you know, whichever one's the higher priority, I would just get like your one site first, like if that's going to be your personal brand, like get that launched. Don't worry about getting both at the same time. There's no like discount for doing that. Just get one, because you're not going to want to pay for the other one while you're setting the other one up. So just get whichever one is the higher priority, the gallery one, you know, that has multiple artists, or the one for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
You got it. Okay, Pat, I'm going to rapid fire. There's a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to scroll down and just try to rapid fire them.
Yeah, you do it.
Because some people said they had to leave and they wanted to see some of the answers.
Yep, I'll be back one second.
Chime in as I'm going here if you want to add anything. Okay, you're going to take a break. All right. All right. I currently use Fine Art America for many of my items like mugs and iPhone covers and things like that. If I use you, would I also keep that? If you're making sales, understand that Fine Art America is just an online gallery site. We kind of went over all this earlier. So if they are getting you traffic, that is the only reason to stay on there. If they are bringing you eyeballs and sales, then that is the only reason. Otherwise, you never want to give them your traffic. That is your traffic. Those are your leads. You want those people on your email list and to be your customers. What if I already have, oh, that was Joan, you already asked. Okay, I'll skip that one. How do you market older works, or do you recommend only showcasing the new works? No, you just do it the exact same way. I mean, all of the marketing advisement that we have for like launching new pieces, it applies to the old pieces too. It doesn't matter. It's called romance marketing, and we show you exactly how to do that. What is the pricing if you bolt on your store to your existing website? It's exactly the same. If as a photographer, I have more than one series, is there a way to set up your gallery on ASF by series? Yes, absolutely. You can set things up however you want and put your images in different categories and organize them. Best to niche market or have multiple subject matters? Depends on you. That's something that we go over in the workshops. So like, I'd love to know what from you is actually selling, and Patrick and I would talk about that with you strategically. And so we could figure out, which is the best area to focus on. What features are the same or different for photographers? You get everything. There's no difference between the two. I've often noticed that many of the art that sells on Art Storefronts is celebrity portraits, landscapes, etc. I generally paint weirder subject matter. Can I still sell as successfully? Of course. Whenever I hear anything like that, it just means that that's all you're seeing for whatever reason. I mean, we're publishing notable art sales on the platform literally like every other day. Everything sells. We have 3,000 plus Art Storefronts members, photographers and artists with every single category. It's about you and your business and your content. It has nothing to do with what's generally happening on the platform as a whole. Leslie Wing asked, when ordering canvas, watercolor paper, metal, prints, those are things that are hands off for us, correct? You handle fulfillment. Yes, if you use the automated fulfillment feature, you don't have to. It is all hands off, 100%. All right, let's see here. Keep going. Can I keep my domain name? How does that work? That was asked by Linda. Yes, you can, absolutely. In fact, you need to have a domain name, or you just get one after you come on board. We recommend just GoDaddy. They're the best when it comes to just domain hosting. They're cheap, they're easy, and then our team will help you point the domain over to your Art Storefronts website. It's a really simple process. So yes, the existing domain name you have, and a domain name for those of you that don't know is www.yoursite.com. Whatever your business name is, that's what you will use. I was surely asked, I was about to create a new website on Squarespace. Should I have an external site or just market to my site on Art Storefronts? If you're using Art Storefronts, you do not need to be using Squarespace at all, and should not be, or Shopify, or any of the other ones that we were showing earlier. We are a website platform with way more functionality and features specifically for photographers and artists. And I think we went over that. All right. Do you represent galleries or curators? I don't really understand that question.
We answered that one. That was I'm blanking on your name. Was it John?
Oh, John. Where is the art behind you in your office? That's what you were answering earlier. Yeah. This is a hand-painted wall. It's actually hand-painted by an artist. What kinds of subjects and what price points sell the best? That's kind of the wrong question to ask, because what matters is you and your business. I think when we get that question, people think we're just like another online art gallery, like a Fine Art America. We're not. We're helping you build your specific business with your content and your clientele. So we're going to help you sell what you have, and you know what price points you traditionally offered, or if you're brand new, you know where you should start and go from there. Given COVID, are the POD businesses still working? Yes, the entire time. We have not missed a beat. All of the orders have been shipping, which is phenomenal. When someone goes to my store, how much of the other artists' art do they see? In other words, how competitive is the site from Go? That's a question that obviously thinks we're an online art gallery. We are not. Your website is your own art, nobody else's. I wanted to open a store, but I only have 4 pieces to sell. Should I wait to accumulate? No, we answered this at the beginning. 1 piece is enough. Every piece is a marketing moment, you know, to do more marketing. So whatever you have, we want you to put up there so that every new one you can use in the marketing. What is the difference between the membership that Reed was talking about? What do you get for $1,000 or $2,800? That's for the one-time fee. For that, you got to request a demo. There's just, we were showing all of the features. It's basically just a breakdown of that. What we essentially do is we're offering one plan at Art Storefronts. There's just one product that we're selling, but we've created some other options that are more affordable just to buy in. But we're really selling one package that's like, this is what you need. This is what you should have to like fully equip yourself and be successful. But we're trying to let other people in that might not be able to afford the full package, so that they can get in and start trying to have some success and build their business a little bit to try to get up to the higher levels. Okay, that's pretty much it, Pat.
Yeah, I think we've covered it. We went 3 hours and change. Solid session. We did get one question from Doug, and Doug on Facebook said, do you share with your customers what is selling each day? And I answered him, no, we don't. It's a total mixed bag, and there's not going to be a whole heck of a lot you would end up gleaning. Like, you know, I'm assuming you're trying to fish for like what's a good trend, what's a good.
That's a gallery question again. You notice how many there are that think we're an online gallery? Because you know?
No. He understands. He's just, I think he's like trying to say, like, based on what's selling the best, can I get some ideas for how I would change my art? And it's such a mixed bag that's in that channel anyway. It's like, it's hard to glean trends. I mean, there's little gems in there, sure. But what we do is, you know, if we have somebody that's killing it for whatever reason, we bring them on and have them talk about their strategies or tactics on the customer calls that are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we find that that's helpful. They share their knowledge, which is awesome.
Yeah. I also would say there's so many people that are selling and selling well on the platform. They're coming on the workshops all the time together. It's part of the community, and you're just going to see them randomly, and you're you know, talking about their business and asking us questions and getting consulting and advice. And I think as you generally are around these people and you see what's going on, you'll start seeing that content. You'll also hear Patrick and I talking about it. Like, if you're actually looking for advice on what subject matter and niche and you're looking at it that way, let's talk. Come to one of our workshops, our private member workshops, and Patrick and I will tell you exactly how to think about, you know, deconstructing a niche. If you're looking at, you know, I want to find a really good niche and work backwards, that's actually a really good way of going about it. So I really appreciate that question.
Yep.
Because if your art isn't selling or your photography isn't selling as well, you know, as you'd like it to, and you know your niche is kind of hard to market to and you've struggled with it, one of the best things that you can do is pivot and do it the right way, right? Do it in a way that where you know, you're going after a niche that's like really solid. And it's not just based on what's selling, right? Like, other people might be really stomping on that niche and you want to do something else, but we'll talk about more of how to think about, you know, finding a good niche.
Reverse engineering it, if you like.
Reverse engineering. That's what yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Nick, you want to leave it there?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
good
so
talking
much.
To you.
Really appreciate it. Everybody have a great rest of your week. And yeah, hope to see you soon. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, the last reminder is we are running a sale to join through May. That was the extension of the sale to join Art Storefronts. Reed was mentioning that earlier. But don't wait till the end of the month, because last month we ran out of spots and couldn't get it done. And I don't want that to happen to anybody that's on here if you're really interested. If you have any more detailed questions, make sure to request a demo. Requesting a demo is just, you know, starting that discovery call process and getting all your questions answered. It's not a commitment. So go ahead and do that. And then if the team feels like you're a good fit, then they will tell you, and then you can, you know, move forward from there. And that's pretty much it.
All righty. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.